Ever since its conception at the hands of Charles Darwin, the theory of evolution has been an extremely controversial topic. This controversy has taken on many forms throughout the years, but one of the most heated debates that still lasts to this day is its presence in the American school system. With creationism having been taught as the origin of life for many years, there was a sudden divide between those who wanted to keep things the way that they were and those who wanted to adapt to the new theory. The debate over what we should be teaching our children is still ongoing to this day, although there has been a great change in what has been taught in public schools over time. Evolution has come from being illegal to teach in some states to expected education in many places today. Evolution is a concept that was fiercely debated from its very beginning. Charles Darwin originally published On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, based off of his studies on the Galapagos Island finches in 1859. After its publication, it was hotly debated within the scientific community, but had widespread acceptance by the end of the 1960s. However, this theory was mostly rejected by American Christians, and the few schools that taught evolution continued to teach it alongside the biblical creation story. The debate over evolution was largely stagnant for many years, but was brought back into the limelight during a larger conflict between fundamentalist Christian ideas and modernist ones. Evolution was one of the main focuses of the debate, and many states felt the need to address it. In the 1920s, several states considered banning evolutionary education. These states included Kentucky, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Florida, and Tennessee, with the legislation passing in Oklahoma, Florida, and Tennessee. The battle for evolution in public schools truly began when the Tennessee schoolteacher John T. Scopes knowingly began to teach his class evolution in defiance of the law.
In 1925, John Scopes was tried for teaching evolution in his public school. At this time, the U.S. was still very against any ideas of evolution and anything against the Bible. They voted against Scopes, and he had to pay a fine of $100, around $1,500 today. It caused a lot of animosity, and evolution was not generally spoken about for a long time in the U.S. In 1981, Kelly Seagraves, a parent in California, sued the state of California for demanding the teaching of evolution. He was one of the co-founders of the San Diego-based Creation Science Center that focuses on the belief of creationism through science. When he started the court case, he stated that it was against the First Amendment and the Free Exercise Clause. After much deliberation, the judge ruled that both sides won. It was said that the schools were not following the correct discretionary terms when stating that evolution is just a theory, but they are allowed to teach it. In 1982, a U.S. federal court stated that Arkansas violated the Establishment Clause by balancing between teaching creationism and evolution. Arkansas called it creation science, hoping it would sway the judges in allowing them to teach it, because it is a form of science. The court ended up declaring, by stating the definition of science, that creation science was not a real science. In 1987, Don Aguillard went to court to protest against a 1981 law in Louisiana that prohibited people from teaching evolution unless accompanied by creationism. Edwin Edwards, as the governor of Louisiana, was named as one of the respondents. It was later stated that the law violated the Constitution as it did not effectively separate church and state. This allowed teachers to teach evolution but not be forced to teach creationism along with it. In 1990, a teacher, Webster, stated that the New Lenox School District violated his First Amendment right by stating that he could not teach creationism in his classroom. The U.S. court stated that it did not violate his rights since he was teaching in a public school owned by the school district. Due to the parameters of the Establishment Clause, the school district did not violate Webster's First Amendment rights.
The controversy between creationism and evolution has continued into the education system today. Across the country, there is a large variation in how the subject is being taught to students. Over the years, the schools have moved towards evolution. Studies done by Gallup Research Center on the topic found most present-day teachers do not take a stance on evolution or creationism, but let the students decide. The study found that only 13% of teachers advocate for creationism in their classroom. Creationism is mainly taught in private schools, but there are publicly funded schools teaching creationism as well. Studies have found that schools leaning towards one side of the debate will teach their beliefs more in depth and then barely mention the opposite viewpoint.
I believe that I give the evolutionary view equal time, and I believe I give it a fair shake.
Education laws vary across states as the Board of Education's attitude towards the subject shifts based on who holds office. Currently, Tennessee and Louisiana have laws in place that allow teachers to address alternatives to evolution. allowing the teaching of creationism. For example, a law passed in 2012 in Tennessee stated teachers could teach to scientific strengths and weaknesses, specifically of controversial topics. It has also been recorded that some schools teaching creationism provide falsified science textbooks to students. False records and the age of the Earth are some of the key points changed in these textbooks. Changing these records allows for teachers to attempt to demonstrate that evolution has no scientific backing. The law permits teachers to teach creationism as long as they don't technically advocate for it, and covers the use of the changed textbooks. With the shift in teaching towards evolution, a generational gap has been created. Gallup polls found that typically younger generations are less religious than older generations. The study found that the more religious people are, the more likely they are to believe in creationism. As of 2014, the poll found that 50% of the people aged 65 and older believe in creationism. This trend of younger people believing in evolution will most likely continue into the future as more people discourage their kids from learning creationism.
If you want to deny evolution and live in your world that's completely inconsistent with everything we observe in the universe, that's fine. But don't make your kids do it.
The beliefs of evolution has been very widespread demographically. Currently, 38% of people in the U.S. believe that God created humans the way they are today, while another 38% believe that people were created by God but have experienced evolution. 19% of people believe in evolution but without any interference by God. As comparing big cities to small cities or towns, the bigger cities are more likely to believe in evolution in some stance than in small cities. It has also been seen that in the Northeast, more people seem to believe in evolution than in the Southeast. The Southwest, up until California, and the Midwest also believe more in creationism than up north. There seems to be a big split between the North and South, and even more between large cities and small towns. It seems that the more south and the smaller the town, the more likely people are to believe in creationism.
It has been 150 years since Charles Darwin presented his theory of evolution, and even though evolution has successfully staked its claims in popular culture, the debate between creationism and evolution continues as heated as ever. So why is it still controversial? Many creationists believe that such various complicated forms of life could not have all come about without the interference of an intelligent designer. Various other creationists, such as Ken Ham, founder of the Creation Museum in Kentucky, use evidence found in the Bible to date the Earth less than 10,000 years old, a time span which evolution could have never occurred. However, advocates of evolution point to the evidence such as carbon dating of fossils and sedimentary layers of rocks that date the Earth well beyond 10,000 years. These people claim that the Bible is not reliable enough evidence in order to date the Earth and therefore does not contradict evolution, which needs millions of years to occur. These arguments challenge the fundamental beliefs of people on both sides and create a rift between them. One such example of this is the debate that recently happened between Bill Nye and Ken Ham. Over 3 million people tuned into the debate, demonstrating the great interest that still persists in this topic.
And we're able to come up with maybe different ways this could have happened or that could have happened, and that's part of that scientific discovery.
As of today, America is still greatly divided on the topic of evolution as a whole, and its presence in the school system, despite the evolution making great progress in the past decades, becoming much more widely taught than creationism. While the validity of viewpoints are constantly debated, the main issue lies within the school system, as both sides strongly believe that learning the other one will harm the children. The emotional core is present in every debate and court cases surrounding evolution in schools, and the controversial will not end anytime soon.